Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since you've seen my face. For the eagle-eyed among you, you may have noticed this room is a bit barren. That's because we're still in the process of moving, but that won't stop the content, it will not stop the fun. So, Wizards of the Coast Europe have been very, very good to us. They've sent us a Modern Horizons 2 pre-release pack. Now again, because a lot of my camera equipment and my living room and all that, and the space I normally film, it's kind of in a bit of a state right now. Can't really do much gameplay at the moment. That'll come, have some good things planned coming up for the future. But for now, what I'm going to do is revisit the video we did a while ago, and we're going to do a Cracker Commander. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this pre-release kit. I'm going to find a legendary from it, and I'm going to build a deck here in front of you, hence the GoPro looking down. It's currently recording. Hello, hello. Look at the pre-release pack. So yeah, we're going to open this, find a legendary, and build a deck. A load of my first Commander decks came from pre-releases. I'd go to a pre-release, you'd open some cool cards, and then you want to build with them. So that's kind of what we're going to do with today. So with that, let's crack in. Alright, so while I fail to open this box, yes, in the process of moving, currently designing studio. We're on our third house now. All too much details, but yes. Alright, so, ooh, our rare, or the thing that comes in the pack, is a Deathy Voidwalker. Very sweet. Ooh, Shadow. Maybe we can build something with Shadow. What else do we have? Ooh, this is all tokens, I think. So we have, ooh, squirrels, we have clues, we have food. Lovely, all right. We have a dice, and then we have the packs. Wow. All right, we have 6 packs. Let's see what legendaries we open. We've done some deck decks on the channel for this set. Let's crack in. All right, we have a bone shot. So yeah, we're looking for a legendary. So we'll kind of go through them a bit quickly. Obviously, if there's anything that sticks out, we'll highlight it. Hard Evidence. Ooh, Steep Through. Very cool. In the old art. Piercing Rays, Floodhound, Goblin and Narcomancer, Sliverbuff Bridge, Break the Ice, Lazartep Channeler, Lucid Dreams. Ooh, the Vindicate looks nice. And ooh, okay. Okay, we're on to something. Peru the Volatile. I will be honest, that may be where we're going with this. I do love me an Elder Dragon, even with all the downsides. Keep that to one side. So yeah, I will be building the Commander deck with cards I have in my collection. One of the few things I didn't pack from this room was the Commander staples. So let's see what else we can open. We have a Jade Avenger. We have a Venashino. Quiet Phone. We have a Venashino Lash Call. We have a Nested Shambler. We have an Unholy Heat. Quiet Phone. We have a Break Ties. We have a Mental Journey. We have a Guardian Kirin. A Tanglepool Bridge. A Slagwood Bridge. A Vectus Gloves, a Caprichrome, we have a Power Depot, a Seal of Removal, a Verdant Command, and a Foily Urban Dagger Tooth. Okay, so no legendaries in that one. So we're still on the Peru the Volatile plan. And again, this is the kind of card that if I opened it a pre-release, it's the kind of card you want to build. It's a big, dumb dragon. I'm a simple soul at heart. Cracking on, we have a Jewel-Eyed Cobra, we have a Revolutionist, we have a Sinister Starfish, Crack Open, Captured by Legax, Recalibrate, Lens Flare, Tragic Fall, Goldmire Bridge. These are probably actually quite good, the artifact lands. I should probably touch on them. If you have a Breya deck, play them, I'm assuming, and any other kind of multicolored deck that cares about artifacts. All right, Squirrel Sanctuary, an Arcbound Whelp. Ooh, we have a Monoskelion, very cool. We have a Squirrel Mob. Ooh, and we have a Fetch. We have a Marshflats. Goes nice. Let's put that under there, because I think we're going to need some fixing with this. All right, cracking on. All right, we have an Arcbound Slasher. We're on to pack 4 now. We're flying through them. Tizerius Charger. Smell Fear. Ooh, Faithless Salvaging in the sketch art. We have a Steelfin Whale. A Late to Dinner, a Breathless Night, a Lose Focus. We have a Fodder Tosser. We have a Storm God's Oracle. We have a Legion's Vanguard. We have a Strike It Rich. We have a Timeless Witness. Good to open one of these. I think it's going to be a straight in the Commander Staples box. We have a Yavimar Elder. Many of these already in the Commander Staples box. We have a Fractured Sanity as our rare and a Zombie Army token. Very cool. Right, so 2 packs left. I'm glad we got one legendary creature, otherwise this video wouldn't have really worked. Right, we have a Loathsome Curator, a Funnel Web Recluse, a Lightning Spear, an Echoing Return, an Arcbound Mouser, Terminal Agony, a Burdened Aerialist, Landscape Colossus, Tormod's Cryptkeeper. Stop messing with my graveyards, everyone. A Goblin Archomancer, a Feast of Sanity, a Ghostlit Drifter, a Prophetic Titan, Quirion Ranger, good to see it back. And we have an Out of Time as our rare in the old border. Little scroll token, very cool. All right, last pack. So are we building Piru? That is the question for today. Rift Sower, Scophos Reaver, Sinister Starfish, Abundant Harvest, Foundry Helix, Parcelmere, Break Ties, Phantasmal Dreadmaw, Draykeeper, Skyblade's Boon, Blessed Respite, Radkos Headliner. We have a Karmic Guide as one rare, and then do we have another one? Ooh, we have an Urza Saga. I hear that's worth something. Very good. And we have a foil Bottle Golems for the end there. Very nice. Okay, so we are building Piru the Volatile. Let's get into it. So, Piru the Volatile is 2 red, red, white, white, black, black. That's a bit of an intensive mana cost, but we'll get there. It is a 7/7 legendary creature, Elder Dragon. It has flying, lifelink, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Piru unless you pay red, white, black. When it dies, it deals 7 damage to each non-legendary creature. So, this is in the cycle of the original Elder Dragons, which I'm a big fan of, and I've always kind of wanted to build one. So what's cool about this one is that it still has the traditional, you have to pay the colours of mana to keep it alive every turn, otherwise it dies. However, with this one, it actually rewards you for killing it. It rewards you for it dying by pinging 7 damage to every non-legendary creature. And there's definitely ways that we can abuse that. So, my first thoughts are things like recursion spells. It goes to the graveyard, reanimate it back. It's then alive. You get to do it again. I don't want to be paying this. I don't want to be paying the mana cost for it plus command attacks again and again. I want to pay it once and then continually get it again. So there's spells that bring things back from the graveyard. I think I picked up an Undying Evil recently, so that probably gets in, that kind of thing. Nice and cheap ways of getting it back. What else? Because it's dealing 7 damage to each non-legendary creature, it means we can put in a lot of legendary creatures, so our stuff won't get pinged, break the symmetry, that kind of thing. If we give it Death Touch, that will kill things with bigger than 7 toughness, so that's quite nice. Ooh, and with the damage doublers as well, that might work, because it is still a 7/7 flying with lifelink. So, hitting people in the face with a 7/7. I'm a big fan of hitting people in the face with a big dragon, so I think this could be a ton of fun. So, I'm going to start going through my long boxes. By long boxes, I mean these. My Magic collection is sorted, kind of well, into long boxes. Each colour has its own box. Then within the box, it's all CMC'd. I don't know if you can see that on the top down. It's all CMC'd, which kind of it makes it much easier for storing cards, and it's not too much work. Basically, whenever I open a pack, I take up the cards I think are good and are worth keeping, put them in a long box. Then you kind of start building a collection. It's quite a nice way of doing it. Also, these boxes are nice and cheap, so very good to start off with. So what I'm going to do is get the long boxes out for each of the colours and start going through them. What I'm looking for is the cards I just mentioned to make the deck work, kind of the recursion-y spells, the things that bring things back from the dead, that kind of stuff. I'll pull out them. Obviously, this deck is going to need a lot of ramp as well. This is a multicolored commander with 6 coloured pips in it, and we don't have green. So there's going to be a lot of artifact ramp, like a lot of signets, talismans if I have any lying around, that kind of thing. We need to make a lot of coloured mana in this deck. For the card draw, we're mainly going to be looking in black and red. There's some of the impulse draw in red, and then there's some of the like pay life draw in black. That's mainly where we're going to be looking towards. There should be some cards with some cool interactions, so I'm going to start going through these, and then I will let you know what I find. Alright, so I've gone through black. Let me show you some of the cards that I kind of picked out from my collection that I think might be quite interesting. First of all, so let's start with these. These are all cards that, when a creature would die, it returns to the battlefield this turn, which is wonderful with Piru, because we can have Piru on the board, not pay its mana at the start, let that trigger go on the stack, then pay for one of the instant ones. It would need to have Kai's Ghost already on it. Let it die, it wipes the board, then comes back. That's pretty good. We get to do it all over again. So these, I think, are a slam dunk. Glad we have these. On the recursion-y side, I'm probably not going to be running all of these. I kind of picked out ones that I thought were good. I have a really soft spot for Victimize and Diabolic Servitude. I think these were some of the first Magic cards I owned, so I want to put them in. But yeah, I think Thrilling Encore is a good include. What I'm generally looking for is just ways of bringing it back without having to pay too much mana, because again, Piru is a lot of cash to... it's a lot of mana to bring back, and I basically only want to be doing it once. So every other time I want to be using spells like this, or the Supernatural Staminas of the world to get them back. Some other interesting cards I picked out. So here's what I found as like a black card draw package. I think this is a good base. Disciple of Bolus, again, can sacrifice Piru, draw us 7 cards, wipe the board. This will die, but who cares? We've drawn 7 cards and wipe the board. That seems pretty good. We're going to be making a lot of mana in this deck with the artifacts, so Damnable Pact seems alright. The life gain won't be too bad because Piru has lifelink, so that's decent. And then just Night's Whisper, Sign and Blood, Read the Bones are just decent spells at drawing cards, and Obniculus is good at that as well. So I didn't pick up too much removal, because I know we have white, and then white has a lot of exile effects, and Orzhov has a lot of exile effects. But Ashes to Ashes is an interesting card. Ashes to Ashes removes two non-artifact creatures from the game and does 5 damage to you. I'm assuming that's been errated to exile 2 creatures, take 5, so in black, that's quite good. Moving on, so we found Fatalist Shadowcat Familiar. Commander creatures you control have Menace and Death Touch, giving Piru Death Touch as well, so you're definitely killing everything. As well as the Menace just means it's more likely to hit face, which I'm a big fan of. I don't know how Nightmare Shepherd works. I will need to look that up before we include it, but the ability for it to die and then come back, if it works the way I want it to, will be cool. It might not work that way. Because Piru has lifelink, we could consider Sanguine Blood and Veto Thorn of the Dust Road. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Hitting someone for 7, we gain 7, then drain them for 7. That's a decent. This is effectively double strike. So these, I think, do get in if we're going with the smashy face. And then we have these cards: Revel in Riches, Torment of Hailfire, and Grave Betrayal. So these 2 are in here. So Revel in Riches and Grave Betrayal are in here because a lot of our opponent's stuff is going to be dying. Grave Betrayal lets us nick it. Revel in Riches turns it into mana, and then an alternate win condition if we control 10 or more at the beginning of our upkeep. And then Torment of Hellfire, again, similar to Damnable Pact. I'm kind of assuming we're going to have to make a lot of mana in this deck to play our commander. Therefore, Torment of Hellfire is a perfectly fine backup win condition, and I like just having big haymakery cards in the deck. So, lovely. All right, so that was black. We have a good selection of cards. Let's crack onto white now. Why white? Because it's the nearest box to me. Alright, so from white I was mainly looking for removal. So obviously Path, Swords to Plowshares, Day of Judgment, Wrath of God. Premium, perfect. I didn't know I had spare Wrath of God, so that's perfect. Love that. Alright. Also, Smothering Tithe. Again, one I had spare. Also, Smothering Tithe. It's a deck with white, it probably gets in. The Treasure will help us fix. Treasure might be a good way of getting the fixing with this deck, so that's something to keep in mind, actually. Talking of the fixing, Weathered Wayfarer, because we're probably going to be playing, in any game of Commander, there'll be someone who plays a Rampant Growth. Weathered Wayfarer, decent enough job at getting a land. It goes to the hand, but it's still a way of fixing. We need to hit all of our colours with this. Verge Rangers, I'm not sure of this card. Let me know in the comments if you think it's good and worth including. You get to look at the top card of your library every time. I like that part. But I think it might just get... It's a card that will let fix us once, maybe. Like, it'll let us play 1 land from the top of our library before it just gets killed by our commander. So, maybe not, but... Then, for some recursion, we have Karmic Guide. Again, being able to bring our commander back is nice. And then we have Promise of Tomorrow. Whenever a creature you control dies, exile it. At the beginning of each end step, if you control no creatures, sacrifice Promise of Tomorrow and return all cards exiled with it to the battlefield under your control. So, if Piru takes out our whole board and we have this out, that just brings them all back. That's strong. I like that. I've wanted to play Promise of Tomorrow since only time I played it so far was in Me and the wife did a game of Commander Legends when the set came out, and this card was quite strong in that. So good to give it a go. And then Mother of Runes is just a good card that may or may not get in. If I somehow end up with a spare slot, Mother of Runes goes in. If not, it's probably one of the first to be cut. But it's just a good card. All right, that was white. So let's move on to red. So again, with red, we are looking for some more card draw spells and some win conditions, I think. I think we'll find some good ones in red. There's one in particular that I'm sure everyone will like, except my playgroup. Quite a few different categories of cards from red. So let's just go through them in terms of usefulness, shall we say. So starting over here, we have Impulsive Pilferer and Curse of Opulence. Make Treasure. Good in this deck, I think. And they're nice and cheap and will come in handy. I think they're quite good. Moving on to... Let's just go over the standard packages first. So Chaos Warp and Blasphemous Act. Some good bits of good bit of removal and a good board wipe. I think that will do a decent job. Anger, giving our commander haste. Never a bad thing. For some card draw, we have Faithless Looting, Light Up the Stage, Wheel of Misfortune, Jessica's Will, Valakut Exploration. I kind of want to try this card. I think it could be fun. And Emberwild Captain. I love a bit of Monarchy. I'm not saying all these will get in. We'll see how many bits of a card draw we had in black. Maybe see which ones we like most. But I think there's some decent cards in there. All right. Then moving on to some more fun cards. So Brash Taunter with our commander. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent, and it's indestructible. So it's always going to survive through our commander's board wipe, and then hit an opponent for 7 as well. Awesome. And then also the tap ability to fight something else to get it to deal damage. Sick. I love it. Actually, just realizing Brash Taunter can fight our commander. We gain 7. Target opponent takes 7 for 3 mana. Okay, this is an awesome include. This card's fantastic in this deck. Okay, moving on to some more ways of winning the game. So I've got some ways of making tokens, copies of Piru. Obviously, Legendary rule, they'll die straight away. But in this deck, that's not a bad thing, because we'll just ping the board for 7. So Twin Flame, Heat Shimmer, Flame Shadow Conjuring, and Mirror March all can make token copies of things, and can all make tokens of our commander. So another one will come. So another one will come in. Legendary rules applies. Dies, does the thing that the deck wants to do. On the same thing of making a token, again, I don't want to be paying for Piru more than once. Velden lets us make a token copy each turn. We like that. With the damage doublers, I mentioned earlier, we have Gratuitous Violence and Dictator of the Twin Gods. I think I had the one that makes, it's not Fiery Emancipation, but there's one that does like triple, but just the mana pips are getting quite up there. I do want to keep the amount of coloured mana we're playing not too strenuous on the deck. Some other... let's talk about Hellkite Courser first. A good way of cheating Piru in early, obviously it goes back to the command zone, but I think it could be good enough, like, just being up, like, by playing this, we get to swing with a 7/7 flying dragon for turn. Flying lifelink commander for 1 turn. If it dies, then it does the board wipey thing. If it doesn't, it goes back to our hand, and then we can replay it on curve later. So some win conditions, we did find some in red. Team of Battle Rage. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. That creature also gains trample until end of turn if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Our commander has power 4 or greater. So put this on that, hit face with it. It might be a bit cute. It might be a bit one-shotty, but it's a good silver bullet to have with your commander. Repercussion. 1 red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's controller. So again, when our commander dies, pings the whole board for 7. Each creature takes 7. Everyone takes 7 to the face. That seems good. It could kill us as well, but it should be fun at least. Vicious Shadows. This is the card I was mentioning that my playgroup don't like that much, because I kind of play it in quite a lot of decks. Yeah, again, lots of creatures are going to be dying. Vicious Shadows does well in those kind of environments where you're expecting a lot of things to die, and this will be no exception. So those were the red cards. Deck's coming along nicely. So we'll look at multicolored quickly, and then go from there. So, the multicolour box is 1 for each guild. Makes it a bit easier. Alright, so... Right, so let's go through what we found in the multicolor. Let's start with the more traditional stuff first. So we're in Mardu. I think Crackling Doom is a fantastic card in these colors. It is a sacrifice ability, but just gets rid of the most important thing because it's the thing with the highest power. So it normally takes out the biggest threat with each opponent. So for 3 mana, I think it's good. Ruinous Ultimatum is just a beating. This card, don't think of it as a board wipe. This is a win condition, and the mana costs line up quite nicely with our commander, so in theory we should be able to cast it, so that should be backbreaking. And then Anguished Unmaking is a solid bit of removal for 3 mana. I think it's very good. And then Vona, Butcher of Magan, or Magan, Vigilance Lifelink, tap, pay 7, destroy target online permanent, as ability only during your turn. Our commander is a 7/7 flyer with lifelink, so that part there I think works quite nicely. Maybe the fact it's repeatable I think means it's worth considering. Right. Moving on to some other cool cards. I can't remember this lad's name. Braun Strowman. This is the Russian one. I don't know where my English ones are, but basically he tap and sacks and can chuck a thing at someone. So he could chuck a commander. That will deal damage to them. I think he has lifelink as well, so we'll get lifelink off of him, then lifelink off the thing. It not being in English does make it a bit tricky to recommend it right now, but look it up, good card. And then Viscopa Guildmage. Again, we had a couple of cards in black which rewarded us for the life gain by punishing our opponents. Whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. Very good. And I'm pretty sure you can activate this multiple times. It doesn't say you can only do this once a turn, so just pump a load of mana into it. Multiple triggers of lifelink. With this, that could be quite good. Similar vein to Brash Taunter, Boris Reckoner. It doesn't have Indestructible, so is a bit niche. But if we can do multiple, like if we're playing the damage doublers, then I think this gets a lot better. Talking of damage doublers, and then when you positively, absolutely have to win a game of Magic the Gathering, Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight. If you've ever played against this card, you know how backbreaking it can be. It makes combat math miserable. Making our commander deal 14 damage is very nice, and will probably mean we'll be winning the game pretty swiftly afterwards. We have some cool cards that interact with the graveyard and such. So, first one to mention, I just want to talk about Teysa Karlov. We'll double up the... We're only going to be playing this for the ability. This will double up the death trigger, so it'll deal 14 to each opponent, so to each creature, so that would be really, really nice. The rest of the cards are kind of ways of bringing it back. So, starting with Kaya, mainly for the +1 with this. Put a Ghost Storm counter on up to 1 target non-token creature against when this creature dies or is put into exile, return it to its owner's hand, and a 1/1 creature. Ah, that's not as good. I thought it came back into play. Maybe this doesn't get in. I want these effects to bring them back into the battlefield, not into play, because I don't want to be spending all that mana on the command often. So maybe this doesn't get in, but it's still an interesting card. Talking of bringing things into play, this is more what I'm after. Gerard Weatherlight Hero. When Gerard Hero dies, exile it and return all to the battlefield, all artifact and all creature cards put into graveyard, they'll put from the battlefield this turn. So this works better with... So Piru doesn't Piru doesn't hit legendary creatures, so it won't kill it. But it's only a 3/3. We'll have ways of killing it maybe. If we're running some more sack outlets, and I think this is a slam dunk, but we'll put it in the maybe pile and see where we go. Then we have things like Unburial Rites, just a good recursion spell that we can use twice in this deck. Debtor's Knell. Our commander with Debtor's Knell out is just insane. I let it die every turn. Next turn it comes back, all that kind of stuff. So you just every other turn one turn it's dying, one turn it's coming back. It should be awesome. And again, Primeval Glorious Rebirth, return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Just a nice way of bringing back a board state. Athreos, again, if we have a board state and then we wipe the board, it's a tough decision. Because this stacks nicely with the rest of the cards we're playing, or no, in the rest of the deck, I'm kind with this one going back to our hand, but I think it could be quite fun. Then Bladebring the Risen, importantly, brings a dragon, which is our commander, back from the graveyard to the battlefield. We love it. And then I think this card's quite cool. Karda's Vicious Return. 4 mana saga. First one is you may sacrifice a creature when you do Karda's Vicious Return, deals 3 damage to any target. So that means that we get the ability of our commander dying and gets to do 3 extra damage. Then each player discards a card for the second ability. That's alright. Then on the third chapter, return target creature card from your graveyard, put a +1 counter on it. It gains haste until your next turn. So it's a sack outlet, a discard thing, but it isn't too bad, and then a recursion spell. So I think this could be quite good in this deck. Then just rounding off with some other bits we found. Chain and Nightmare Adept. I don't think this gets in because you still have to cast it from the graveyard, but it is nice to have some redundancy. Maybe it works nicely with some of the other cards we're playing. Maybe it goes with the Kaya. Kambal is just a miserable card, but it's a cheap legendary, which drains some life. Could kind of work. Eiley, I think, is quite nice because it's a sack outlet, which is important. I didn't find a spare of the Ether Rogue legendary that's also a sack outlet, so this is the only legendary sack outlet I have. But I think that one's quite good. I've read the Cursed. Depending on how many legendaries we're running, this might get in, because having the ability to pump them all was quite nice. We shall see. Right, so artifacts. Last box we're going to be going through. Generally speaking, we're looking for ramp. Just a lot of ramp to make the deck work. So let's crack in. Alright, so we found some interesting stuff in colourless, so let's have a quick look. Right, so let's go through the non-ramp spells first, because there's a lot of ramp in here. So firstly, Cauldron of Souls. I think could be quite interesting this, because when our commander dies, wipes the board, tap this, bring everything back. Or tap this before everything dies. Obviously, you want to give it persist before it dies, but that seems pretty solid in this deck. I think I could go in. A Homerus Archive might be a little win more. Depends how much card draw we actually end up running in the deck. But the additional life gain could be quite nice. Just keeps us ahead of our opponents. Again, with all the things dying, Mimic Vat. There may not be a space, but Mimic Vat is always a solid card. I do like it. Solemn Simulacrum, again, is going to die in this deck. That kind of seems fine. And then What I've Lost Dreams, again, with the life gain. Some drawing some extra cards. We'll see how much mana we have, basically. So moving on to the mana ramp. Starting at the top, going bottom, going down, we have Gilded Lotus, Skycave Relic, Mardu Banner, Chromatic Lantern, Dragon's Horde. I like, depends how many dragons we end up running. Command Sphere, Dark Steel Ignite, Marble Diamond, Fire Diamond, Charcoal Diamond. Oh, Boots shouldn't be there, just a bit of protection. Arcane Signet, Boris Signet, Orzhov Signet, Radko Signet, Wayfarer's Bauble, and a Soul Ring. This may not actually be a Soul Ring deck, because we need coloured mana. A lot of mana that makes red, white, and black, basically. So we now have this wedge of cards, which is definitely more than 100. I'm going to start laying it out. So I'll show you my process. So first of all, I'm going to lay it out into different things that they do before we start making cuts and before we start curving. We want to make sure that we have at least our 8 bits of ramp, our 8 bits of card draw, our interaction, and then think of it like making a sandwich. You need the bread and butter before you go for the filling. The filling is the cool cards like Gratuitous Violence and Felden of the Third Path and like Heat Shimmer and Brash Taunter. That's the filling. You need to make sure that that the base is there so that everything is supported. So let's start with the ramp and let's start with the card draw. For card draw, pile for ramps. Let's go through our ramp package. I know that in my opinion, I think Wayfarer's Bauble, the 3 Signets, and Arcane Signet are a slam dunk. I think they're great. I'm glad that we have them as options. The diamonds are probably next tier because they're 2 mana, they come intact, but they fix us. I think Chromatic Lantern gets in as a 3 because it will help fix our land. Skycave Relic is better than these 3, I think, or these 4. Then Gilded Lotus gets in just for the extra push. Then we can look at some creatures. Again, this is a very mana-hungry deck. 8 is the minimum that you want to run in any deck. I think this deck might want a little bit more. So the way I'm saying it, goes to Opulence, Impulsive Pilferer, Smothering Typo gets in, and Wayfarer, Weathered Wayfarer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think that's a good number in this deck. I think it's a good start. Nothing is too expensive. The ones over 4 are Gilded Lotus and Smothering Types, which I think are perfectly fine. With the diamonds, I think is a solid backup. I think it's a good place to start. So now, card draw. Again, we want at least 8 bits. So we're going to pick the best ones from this. Because it's me, I'm going to play Faithless Looting. I think it's wonderful. Obviously, it doesn't scale as well in Commander. So generally, we're looking for repeatable style effects. But these cards don't have as many as, there's no Rhystic Study, which is probably a good thing there isn't a Rhystic Study in Mardu. Could be a bit broken. But I think Valakut Exploration could be interesting. It's the impulsive kind of card draw that you get in red. Again, I think Obnixilis as a top-end bit of card draw, I think is a good shout. I like Disciple of Bolus because of the interaction with our commander. Then if I'm honest, I think it's going to be like Knight's Whisper. I think Sign and Blood, the double black pips makes it a bit too difficult to cast early. Why are you there? Jessica's Wheel and Wheel of Misfortune. Again, I know Wheel of Misfortune isn't technically card draw, but it kind of is. It's a replacement. So I think Read the Bones. I think let's play a Damnable Pact. I think it's going to be quite good in this deck. Actually, in artifacts we had, Well of Lost Dreams. Oh, and Sad Robot. I think Sad Robot just goes into both quite nicely. Good utility card. Well of Lost Dreams. Let's give it a go. I think in this deck, with this amount of ramp, Well of Lost Dreams could do. I'm just perfectly happy spending any extra mana on it. Kind of early game, we'll be ramping the commander out. Then after that, we can use Well of Lost Dreams and like Damnable Pact to just push us ahead. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 bits for the time being. I think I'm going to put these in just because I think they look fun. And also the red bit of ramp might, again, play into the Damnable Pact or something like that. So we have 8 and 10, a bit more than normal, but again, we're kind of we haven't started making cuts yet. That will come shortly. So next is cards that work with our commander. So let's be. So this is the point where you have to be brutal. There's more than 100 cards here. We need to work out what works best. So sensibly, let's do our removal package, and then we'll start getting into the cool stuff. So Anguished Unmaking. Crackling Doom. The poster's just arrived. Very good. Blasphemous Act. Chaos Warp. Path Sword. Day of Judgment. Wrath of God. Ashes to Ashes, because why not? That looks pretty solid as a package to me. So we have 3 board wipes. Seems perfectly fine. Chaos Warp. Ashes to Ashes. Anguished Unmaking. So the fact that Chaos Warp and Anguished Unmaking hit artifacts and enchantments, because they hit non-land permanents, that's good. That's what we like. You always want to make sure you have some ways of interacting with everything, basically. These hit Planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments, therefore I think they're a good shout. And then this is our kind of creature instant speed removal suite. Well, that's sorcery, but it takes up 2 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's solid. I think it's a good place to start. We have a couple of other ones, but I think it's a good place to start. If I was being honest, Ashes Rest probably gets replaced with something a bit more efficient, but I don't know. It's an old kind of weird card, and I want to give it a go. So now let's do the cool stuff that the deck wants to do. So the first cards that I know that we want to run in this deck are the Supernatural Stamina, Undying Evil, Malakir Rebirth, and Kaya's Ghost Form. I think these are just... They're almost win conditions in this deck, which actually they might go in our win condition section. So actually, with that being said, let's actually look at some of the other win conditions that we are considering running. So, Gisella's probably a win condition. I think Biscopper Guildmage in this deck is a win condition. Just activate that a bunch of times, hit face. Ruinous Ultimatum, Vicious Shadows, Repercussion is probably a solid win condition. Brash Taunter is cool enough to count as a win condition. Grave Betrayal, Torment of Hellfire. Lovely. So, yeah, that seems like a solid package. One thing I am noticing is we are a bit light on creatures. So yeah, so next up is just basically we're going through and looking for cards that we think deserve a place. This is the part where we're making cuts. To an extent, it might be worth starting to curve out the deck now, so then we can see where things lie, and that's probably what I will do, because we've got our card draw, our ramp, our interaction, and like our first pass at win conditions, so we can start filling in gaps after that and seeing what the deck's missing. So yeah, let's start curving out. Right, so at the moment, we are at 45 cards, including our commander. That means we have about another 21-ish slots to play with. So that's a good number. Let's have a look through here. So the main thing I'm noticing is that we are short on creatures. So let's focus on those. So I think Veto gets in. Whisper, Bloodless Urge gets in. Battle for the Defiled. Ailey. Kambal. Athreos. Although it's probably never going to be a creature in this deck. Taser. I think Boros Reckoner now gets in. Can have a look at you. Boner. Don't actually have many 6s, so let's play a 6-drop. Seems sensible. Felden. I know it's not a creature, but I really want to try this card. I think it's going to be really good in this deck. I suppose we have to kind of curve around, as it were. Maybe we try Verge Rangers. Might not be the strongest card, but I think it's interesting enough to give a go. Let's try an Exhume. Why not? And yeah, let's try a Thrilling Encore. I think it's probably actually worth running Mimic Vat. So we are slightly light on creatures, but our opponents won't be. So we kill them, we take it. I think that's a pretty good shout. It's a big Dargon. Maybe we don't need Labouring but for 7s. This deck does have a lot of 7-drops. And I want to try the Twin Flame. Heat Shimmer. Actually, maybe Flame Shadow Conjuring can go in this. Actually, no, let's be reasonable. So we're trying to keep the curve down. To be perfectly honest. Maybe that also means the creatures we play Mother of Runes. Right. This is looking pretty solid, I think. Alright, we're at 65. Seems solid. I think we cut Blade Wing, if I'm being completely honest. 65. So, now at 64, including our commander. 36 lands. With all the ramp, I think we're pretty spot on with that. The one thing with the curve that worries me a little bit is that the 2s are a bit anemic, so there might be an argument for replacing maybe some of the 4s or maybe some of the 5 drops with some lower drop creatures. Let me see what else we have. Yes, I think we want... I think Fathless might come in for something. If I'm honest, it should probably come in for... Let's get rid of Heat Shimmer. We have a Twin Flame. Does the same thing. In theory, this is much better. Cool. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this. This is definitely something that seems fun and definitely something I want to play. So that's always a good thing when you build a commander deck if you want to play it. Hooray. So yeah, it kind of covers everything that I was looking for going into the deck build. So obviously, you open a big dumb dragon with some cool abilities. You want to make sure you get the most of it. And it kind of extends to like any commander. So when you're building one yourself, the first thing to do is work out what the deck is trying to do. So with Piru, it was, firstly, it's trying to get Piru out. And then it's trying to kill Piru multiple times and have it come back. So that's why, so we have our ramp package in 2s and 3s to get it out as quickly as possible. Then we have things like Supernatural Stamina, Undying Evil, as ways of getting it back and continually just pummeling the board with 7 damage whenever we fling it around. We have a lot of legendary creatures in here which will survive it from our end. Then we have spells like Thrilling Encore and some other like recursion spells to bring back anything from ours that died that we want to bring back. Then with all that, then when you kind of go down that rabbit hole of kind of like, okay, so the deck has a lot of ramp. That means that we can play big X spell, kind of like Torment of Hellfire and Damnable Pact as kind of like alternate win conditions. If we're wiping the board, then we can play things like Grave Betrayal and Vicious Shadows as some good alternate win conditions. Or not alternate win conditions, but like win conditions that play into the overall strategy. Then with the damage thing, you find things like Brash Taunter. For the mana base, I'll put links down below to a video we made on how to make a mana base. That is a good shout for watching, especially if you're building on a budget, which when you're building with what you have, you kind of effectively are. I hope you found that helpful. This deck is not perfect. I'm aware of that. I'm building it with what I have, and I'm also aware that I might have a lot of cards that some people might not have access to. I've been playing Commander for quite a while. You generally collect cards over time. I think the way that I've gone about building the Commander collection is a good way of doing it. So if you take one thing from this video, that might be it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We'll be aiming to doing another one of these sometime in the near future. So until then, thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.